I'm Steve Johnson, news director for theDove TV. Check out our other videos and visit our website at thedove.us. Thanks.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. And of course, last night the president gave his State of the Union address, and mixed reactions, to say the least, today around the country. But I am delighted and honored to have with us today a good friend, John Gizzi. And John and I go way back when I was in the RNC, and this guy is a walking political encyclopedia and a fun guy and a good brother. He is currently the chief political columnist for Newsmax magazine, and he is also the White House correspondent. So a lot of times when you see the White House news conferences, you'll see John sitting right there in the front row. So, hi, John. How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Great to be here, Perry. Thank you for that warm introduction.
Yeah, good to see you. Well,
the only thing a gentleman can do now is die.
Well, listen, John, the president says, I want to get along, but I have my veto pen. Give me a break. What's going on here?
I think the State of the Union message last night was a case of drawing the line in the proverbial sand, Perry. The president, who many thought would govern from the center when he took office, has clearly moved to the left. And I think the most telling remark was that many felt with the previews of the speech on everything from free community college education to raising the capital gains tax from 15% to 28%, he was going to basically move over to the Elizabeth Warren wing of the party. Well, sure enough, no sooner had the president finished his remarks last night than progressives.org, a decidedly left-of-center website, had a headline saying, the president takes cue from Warren, and it's a good thing. He is facing a decidedly center-right or even right-of-center Congress, the House and Senate in Republican hands, and he is moving in the other direction from the 2014 elections and from part of his own party that had hoped he would govern from the middle. I might add, Congressman Tom McClintock of California reminded me that President Bill Clinton, faced with a similar defeat in 1994 that Barack Obama suffered in 2014, embraced the Republicans, worked with them, and even when they tried to impeach him, he was able to turn in 4 budget surpluses in 4 years, lowered the capital gains tax rate to its current level, and began to attack entitlements, something Ronald Reagan didn't even do. It's very different. Essentially, any legacy Bill Clinton had is being squandered by Barack Obama.
Wow. All right. So bottom line is we're in a gridlock for 2 years. The Congress isn't going to give him what he wants, and vice versa. It's just not going to happen. So we're somewhat in a standstill. So it looks like more executive orders?
Well, he's going to try that. And I talked this morning to Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, who said it's a good thing that Congress will try to overturn the executive orders on immigration that the president issued. On the other hand, he said it's also a better idea if they focused on some positive policies that would show an alternative to the president. For example, a constructive policy dealing with immigration. Not a comprehensive package. Senator Rubio moved away from that, but a step-by-step package. The same will be true if, in the King versus Burwell case, the Supreme Court strikes down the lion's share of Obamacare because of the inequity in the subsidies that are coming out. If that's the case, Republicans had better have an alternative plan, because essentially the high court will be calling their hand. Do you have something else?
Wow. All right, I want to take advantage of the short time I have you. All right, John Boehner, can he get anything done? I mean, I know he's already strong-armed the conservatives coming in. What do you see ultimately happening in the House?
Okay, I had a long talk on Friday, Perry, with Dan Webster, who was the congressman who received the most votes against Speaker Boehner of the 25 votes cast against him on the Republican side of the aisle. Mr. Webster himself, a former Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives, felt no malice from the reelected Mr. Boehner. he bears him no ill will. All he suggested was that the Speaker and the Republican leadership make greater use of individual members, bring them to the helm, let them be focused on it, and let their agendas be focused on, and Republicans could do quite well. If Boehner follows the advice of Webster, if he knows his Webster, I think he may well be successful in the coming 2 years.
All right, because some were saying that was probably the best thing to happen in spite of what they would see as a dismal leadership in light of 2016. It wouldn't muddy the water to have that fight go public.
No, because at least one would get an idea of what Republicans would do in terms of governance. And again, going back to what Congressman Webster recalled to me, when he became Florida's first Republican Speaker of the House since Reconstruction, his gavel later assumed by one Marco Rubio, Mr. Webster was facing a Democratic governor, Lawton Chiles. Nonetheless, the Republican lawmakers were able to work with him, and they were also able to demonstrate they knew governance. And that paved the way for the election of Governor Jeb Bush in 1998.
Interesting. All right, John, let's jump over to 2016. I realize it's early, but we're already seeing the polling, and we're already seeing the struggling going on between the Romneys and what would be the Christies and the Jeb Bush, seeing a somewhat moderate, and then the more conservative side of the party. Do you think we're going to see a real crowded primary for the Republicans?
Absolutely, and it's very healthy. With all due respect to my colleague George Will, I don't think one has to go back to 1856 to see such a talented and crowded field. I think certainly there was one in 1980. When you think about it, Ronald Reagan, the elder George Bush, Howard Baker, Governor John Connally, Bob Dole, the late Congressman Phil Crane. It was quite an impressive field when one recalls that, and I think this field will be just as impressive. One other thing, that when I talked to Senator Rubio this morning, he pointed out to me that he will make a decision on just how best he can serve his country. He will not try to run for both offices at the same time. He will either run for president or the Senate, and that is it. And it all depends on how well he feels he can serve. This would have nothing to do with his friend and fellow Floridian Governor Bush's own plans. In fact, he said Bush would make a very strong candidate. Let me interject something, though. You heard it here first, Perry, on your program. I don't think in the end Mitt Romney will run. 50-50 on Rubio, but I will say keep your eye on someone who gets standing ovations whenever he speaks to grassroots Republicans, someone who took some hard stands, has big ideas, and always has a sunny outlook. Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. All right, let's flip over to the Democratic side. What are the pluses? What are the pluses and the minuses of Hillary running unopposed or opposed?
Well, look at it this way. I recall how 2 years before the '08 elections, John McCain appeared to have the nomination wrapped up for 2008, and many Republicans signed on with the senator from Arizona because he had run in 2000 and done very well. 8 years is a long time. Former Secretary of State James Baker used to say overnight is an eternity in politics. Well, remember, just as McCain was something fresh and exciting in 2000, by 2008, many people said he's a good man, but we've heard that narrative before. So it is with Secretary Clinton, and I think in being resigned to the inevitability of a Clinton nomination, many Democrats also realize they have someone whom they're very familiar with who will not be tested in this race and is 8 years older than she was when she ran last time.
So does she become the McCain and the Dole of the Democratic Party?
Yeah, I believe that. I believe her time has passed, and also the ideas that she talks about. Very much like Barack Obama, she has moved to the left of the party, very possibly because she's aware of the fervent enthusiasm for Elizabeth Warren. And people are going to point out that she may not exactly be her husband, who always said he was a different kind of Democrat and governed from the middle, I might add.
All right.
I've got a funny feeling with Hillary Clinton, it is not inevitable.
Yeah. You know, John, last night's speech was very interesting because the president made a lot of one-liners that just weren't true. And the deficit's down and all of those things. But on the other hand, it appears to me that, have you seen any ratings? How many people watched it last night? Was it an all-time low?
I haven't seen any ratings yet. I know that the day he made the speech, the Gallup poll, one of the oldest and most respected of polls in the United States, said he had record low approval ratings. Mm-hmm. Essentially, he's throwing dice at this point and shooting craps with destiny because he's aware of a legacy. He's aware there's another presidential election, which is truly up in the air. So again, not sure exactly what direction he's going to go, but one sees what he's trying to do, and that's move to the left in his party.
I cannot believe, at least I have a hard time trying to digest, that he didn't spend more time. In fact, he hardly spent any time talking about the threat of terrorism, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and such. It just seemed to pass right on by, and yet it's very much on American minds.
It certainly is. He did mention the tragedy in Paris last week, what's happened in a school in Pakistan. And again, one is seeing just that very day the pro-United States government in Yemen being threatened by terrorists at this point, and one facing the specter of another Syria occurring and perhaps a second ISIS state in Yemen.
Wow. John, you're a delight. Love you, brother. And how do people get a hold of and subscribe to what you do?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask. Just go to newsmax.com, or I'll tell you what, go to John Gizzi on Politics. It will take you directly to my column, and you can sign up to get my columns right there on Newsmax. Please do. Tell them Perry sent you.
Okay, buddy. Nice to see you. Best to you. And let's stay connected, okay?
You bet, my friend. And I love this Skype now that I learned how to do it.
I love your hat. All right, best to you. Talk to you soon. All right, there he is, John Gizzi from Newsmax, and subscribe and get it, and then get his columns as well. He's terrific. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.